flex like Selena, the flex, ayy. Bumping Justin Bieber, the flavor and left, ayy. She know what she need, all she blessed, ayy. Giving me my best, ayy. Yeah, I got my heart on my sleeve with a knife in my back. What's with that, ayy? 21, I love him, then my
What's with
brother,
that?
that's my slack, ayy. Metro made the beat, so you know that it's gon' slap, ayy. Yeah, it's gon' slap, ayy. Tell him, run it back.
Yeah. Live from the studio, Take Tudio. I'm Jimmy Selesky.
I'm Eric Glazer.
And we're coming at you for the second time ever this evening. With, what was the name of that song, by the way?
That was called Hard on My Sleeve by AI Drake and AI The Weeknd.
Now, I don't know.
Yeah, for people that don't know, that was a completely AI song.
Or so they say.
And I say, I'm they.
Now, I'm going to say this to you for the first time, and you probably don't know what I'm going to say.
No, what are you going to say?
Dom
Yeah?
doesn't think this is AI.
That's definitely AI.
He thinks that it is a marketing campaign to attempt to capitalize on how popular AI is right now. And I got to say, although I don't agree with him, because I do agree with you that you can tell it's not them, in my opinion. When Drake sings was where I first noticed it. Like, the rap sounds like him.
Yeah,
I totally buy
like,
the rap.
Talking to a demon,
Yeah, there's like a subtle difference in
it's
his
like
timbre.
it's too auto-tuned.
Yeah,
Like for some of the AI stuff, like there's, auto-tune that musicians use, but then there's like auto-tune that is for robotic voices. That's more just like pitch shifting and like, so like the tone doesn't carry or something. Like something just sounds off about it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and then you really hear it with The Weeknd.
With The Weeknd for sure.
And my first react, because the first time I heard this song, what was it called again?
Hard on My Sleeve.
Heart on My Sleeve. Very Drake title.
Very Drake title, and like there's some Drake lines in there where you're like, are you sure Drake didn't write this?
Yeah, when I heard it,
And even The Weeknd, like there's a
Before-
good Weeknd
yeah.
line. Like you can tell a musician did it. Like you can tell a musician wrote it and did the beat and everything. Because most AI songs don't sound that good.
So is your take that the voices were AI, but the lyrics and music were written by real people?
I mean, I could see it being like, well, because for the most part, like how AI music for like, when they train AI to be like Drake's voice, they'll input all of like Drake songs, acapellas, all that shit, and the machine will learn how to like talk like AI or like talk like Drake, like he's Siri or some
Artificial
shit.
Drake, AD.
But you don't like just hit up AI Drake to be like, yo, spit 16 right now. You like give him lyrics to sing. Does that make sense? That's how the AI thing works as of now.
See, I was under the impression that it was the exact reverse, because I feel like it would be easier for a machine to generate Drake-like lyrics than it would be for a machine to completely re-synthesize his voice. Like right now, you can go on ChatGPT and be like, hey, ChatGPT, write me a biography, write my biography, or like write a story about my summer in 20, and it'll fucking do something, and it'll like accumulate a bunch of bullshit information about you from social media and like do something. I feel like it'd be way easier to get a machine to be like, yo, we used to do that. We used to make Drizzy rhymes ourselves before artificial intelligence had ever been
That's what I'm
invented.
saying. Like, I feel like someone like us who is well versed in the Drizzy rhyme scheme wrote the Drake rap for that.
Okay.
But I mean, and here's the bad thing. I don't know the actual history of that song. I just know that it's AI. And from what I've seen, the current technology can do is like there's a Kanye AI that like people are doing like Hey There Delilah, but sung by Kanye. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they didn't ask ChatGPT to make Kanye sing Hey There Delilah. there's a Kanye trained AI voice that
There's
they just
already a
put the
recording,
lyrics
yeah, of him
into Hey
singing.
There Delilah.
Okay.
And also, yeah, there was already
Yeah, they
the
just-
bonus scenes from the documentary where
Yeah.
he actually wrote Hey There Delilah originally and sold it to that bitch, whatever
I
his
believe it
name
was
is.
Soldier Boy who originally wrote Hey There Delilah.
True.
He had
Yeah,
his
yeah.
hands in everything. Okay, so now I am of three minds
Okay.
because now I'm
You're the
very
Cerberus now.
I am okay, so if I had like a pie chart of what I'm thinking, I'm giving 10% to Dom. That this is a complete marketing tactic. If this is the first of all, the fact that if assuming that it's not, which I'm 90% positive it's not a marketing tactic.
Yeah.
But
If it's a marketing thing,
very
it's
smart.
genius.
It's genius.
It's very smart.
Yes.
The only marketing technique Drake is doing right now is he's walking around in his own merch that says hard feelings, harder dick. And he's like 40 years old walking around in like hoodies with puppies on it, but it says hard feelings, harder dick. So I don't know if that guy is also like doing this AI marketing campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing.
That's a good point.
It's like a good song, and I could see it being something where like riding off the buzz, Drake and The Weeknd are like, wait, let's actually record this and put it on streaming service because it's already getting
That would be
millions
cool.
of streams on streaming services.
Yes.
For a fake song.
So now
So they might as well be getting money for it.
now I have four minds because my fourth mind.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Who owns that song? Is it the guy who made it with the AI? Or I mean, it's Drake and The Weeknd singing it and
That's
rapping
a good
it.
question.
Who gets writing credits for that?
You
know what I mean?
Did Atlantic was it released under a label? Can we look?
No.
Okay, so it was released not under a label. So
No.
that's a huge factor.
So a lot of shit on streaming too can just plop up there. So like a lot of like leaked music, people will just like make a fake artist and put up a leaked like Drake song or like whoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now
But
how
they'll
are
be called like Bad Boy Radio 1 on Spotify and they'll have 1 million plays on a song and you'll play it and you're like, oh, this is a Drake song.
how is the song titled? Like when you pull it up, what does it say? Like Heart on My Sleeve, and then what is it? Does it say Drake and The Weeknd, or does it say like AI Drake and AI The Weeknd?
I mean, it probably just says Drake and The Weeknd, but it might say AI song. Yeah, it says AI song, but
But
it says Drake, Heart on My Sleeve, feat The Weeknd.
let me see it. Let me see this writing.
Official audio.
Okay, well, I mean, there you have it. And
It
best
says
quality.
official best quality audio.
Best
And
quality.
it almost has 1 million views.
So this has made me want to, since I'm leaning that this is actually AI and not a marketing
Yeah,
scheme.
the song underneath of it.
This is
on
making
the,
me want
the
to say
lookup
that
is
my next song is
Kanye
AI.
featuring Playboy Cardi, somebody that I used to know, AI cover.
Okay.
There's a Donald Trump sings "Locked Up" by Akon after getting arrested. AI music video.
So disposing of the possibility that it's completely a real song that they're marketing as AI. I'm disposing of that. That's out the
Yeah,
window.
But that's
Now,
a good idea.
It's a great idea, and I think I might try to do it. Not that anybody would care, but
Mm-hmm.
it'd be a good gimmick. You know, I'm all about gimmicks these days. Got nothing else. The other 90%, I am actually leaning towards. You're saying that the lyrics were written by a real person, and they got fake Drake, fake Weeknd, computer generated voices to sing it.
Well, because here's the thing: if you're like an up and coming producer, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, my shit slaps so hard, but no one's ever gonna listen to me. Mm-hmm. But also, like, I don't know, like, I'm sure, like, if you've ever produced music, like, remember when we made those like dumb like mix CDs and shit?
Yeah.
Where you would download instrumentals and put acapellas over it and shit. Mm-hmm. If you like made a beat and put a Drake acapella over it and you feel like a fucking badass, wouldn't it be even crazier if you put AI Drake singing a song you wrote on one of your songs you produced?
That could
Isn't that cool? And then that's probably how in 10 years that's how people are going to find poppin' people.
And here's how we're kind of dabbling into the realm of the unknown, because there's two things that arise out of this. A, if it turns out that not only were the voices AI generated, but the lyrics and music were AI generated, which I do think is completely a possibility. Then it kind of exposes, because the first thing I thought before I heard this song on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and they played it before saying the story behind it. So when I first heard it, all I thought was, oh, this is a new Drake Weekend song.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought was, oh my God, this is like such a typical Drake verse. I was like, I literally out loud, I thought, I was like, dude, it just feels like he's just like hashing up all of his like old like styles. He's not doing anything new. He's just like, this is such like a textbook, just exactly something Drake would say, like, what's with that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Which I don't dislike.
Well, and here's the thing. No, it sucks. I feel like it's better than the last song Drake put out. That like search and rescue song. Come and rescue me.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have heart on my sleeve, knife in my back.
That's the
What's
issue.
with that?
What's with that? What's with that?
What's with that?
Welcome to our talk show. What's with that?
Man, that would be a good name for a podcast. We should just cancel our podcast and start the What's With That pod.
We're good to end this at 3:05. That's fine.
Just rebrand it.
Welcome to What's With That with Jimmy and Eric, episode 1.
What's with that?
What's with that? No, because
Coming up next, Pross from the Fugees was actually a Chinese spy.
what's with that? No, because what's happening now is once you get a computer to do something that is literally like getting as many streams as a real. Now, here's the real debate is this song getting as many streams as it's getting because it's actually a dope song? Or is it getting this many streams because people want to hear...
People think it's a Drake and Weeknd song.
Or that people are interested in hearing the AI-generated song because that's a whole thing surrounding it. That's the... So it's like, if the record... Because if you really think about it...
Well, no, it's even crazier. Apparently, like, there was like this quote-unquote Frank Ocean song that got leaked that was produced by Rick Rubin floating around. And... people today just finally figured out, like, oh my God, this was just an AI song. Like, this isn't even real.
But that's like, if you really think about it, like the music industry, pop music, like
There's
the
no
labels,
uncanny valley anymore.
they've been kind of AIing music for a long time.
Yeah, because
like
they had ghost writers, they had ghost producers. Like DJ Khaled doesn't produce most of his music.
and they have like formulas of like this chord progression with this type of beat, and like you can listen to pop radio and like the old thing, cliche, oh, music sounds the same these days, and it's like, well, because we kind of like have an algorithm for how to produce a hit song. There's like 4 chord progressions if you put over a certain beat with a certain melodic line, and you just kind of like tweak that melodic line a little bit. Like there was this new song by Andy Grammer that came out not that recently, but I heard it today at the gym because I went to the gym for the first time in like since before I started fasting, and I heard this song, and it was like, I'm loving the lie, I found joy in the lie, or whatever. And it sounded exactly like his other song that was like, oh no, honey, I'm good. Even the hook was literally, he goes like, in this new song, it goes like, yeah, I'm living. And then, but the hook for the other song was, oh no, honey. And it's like, dude, you're literally doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
Like this is almost the same song. And like the record industry has kind of been doing that. And now that we have developed AI, like you said, there is no uncanny valley anymore. Like that song is not a song that you would listen to and immediately
Yeah,
think.
if that was in the background of like, a fucking movie trailer, you wouldn't know the difference. Well, and here's the thing too, like this isn't really new technology. Like it sounds crazy, but it's not. Like for what was like the thing in Japan, they have the Hatsune Miku, and it's like it's a fake pop star, but like
How long is that
a
been
company for fucking ever, basically like Sony or whoever the fuck like owns that property, they put out like a Logic or like a FL Studio, but it's with that voice. So like there's millions and millions of songs by this one artist, but it's like not from the artist itself. It's just from anyone who's bought that software.
Well, especially with like, if you look at like K-pop, they like we've been basically moving in this direction for so long that like, honestly, since the beginning of fucking recorded music, when we would just find people that like fit a certain bill and go like, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're good looking. You can kind of sing this song, this song, this song, this song, and you're a fucking pop star. And like with K-pop, especially, I don't know as much about J-pop. I don't really know a lot about either of the pops in Asia. But like with K-pop, they literally take these like kids and like, have you ever like watched any of those documentaries about, I haven't watched them all the way through, but I've watched like bits and pieces of stuff where like they literally take these kids from like a very young age and just like send them to like fucking like pop star concentration camps and like develop them for like years and years and years and
Yeah,
like,
it's
all this
insane.
shit. And like they're basically kind of programming people to be these pop stars. And now we've gotten to the point where like I agree that this technology is not new.
So this technology has been around since 2004.
But
so it's their Vocaloid software produced by Yamaha.
But I feel like it's become a recent thing where it's gotten to the point of almost being indistinguishable.
For sure.
Like within the past year or so, I feel like we've started to see these like fake clips of people talking where like...
It's like the president's playing Call of Duty or whatever the
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like that is definitely new.
Well, that's new, and for a lot of that stuff, you can tell it's fake.
It's kind of like with video games. It's like, yeah, we've had first-person shooters forever, but like only, you know, honestly, I don't play video games that much anymore, but I feel like, you know, there was such a jump between like the Nintendo 64 to like PlayStation 2 or whatever. And now like, I'm sure the graphics with video games now are just fucking insane. But like, you know, it's gotten to the point now where it's not with video games, but with this thing, it's like, it's gotten to the point now where you can actually kind of pass it off as like real music, where I'm sure like,
Yeah, we've gone from a fucking flip phone to the iPhone
Yes.
in this term of like technology advancement.
which it's like, it kind of exposes, like I said before, just how already pre-programmed so much of this music is. Like I still kind of, I don't know if there's like a plan to actually like, for this guy, I don't know if Drake and The Weeknd were in on this. I don't know. I feel like maybe like there's so many different possibilities of this where like this song was released supposedly by a guy who is completely unconnected with this other thing, and but then like it comes out that like actually Drake and The Weeknd were in on this project or whatever. I don't know how all this works, but all it's doing is exposing that like how kind of disposable so much of the shit we listen to is. I mean, if you can literally just plug into a computer and be like, yo, because I genuinely think that I feel like that Drake verse especially, and even the Weeknd verse, like if you study enough of Drake's verses, you can kind of get a vibe of like the kind of shit he's gonna say. Like, and even like that slaps and stuff. It's like you can tell that in my opinion, that there was this program that was going through like picking up, aggregating modern slang, aggregating 14 gigabytes of Drake verses, and just going like, all right, dude, here we go. What's with that? Blah, blah, blah. This shit slaps. And you're like, okay, cool. And then the Weeknd's like, whatever he does in the fucking song. And it's like, and then you realize you're like, oh, wait, that's kind of already what they do. And now it's like, okay, you know, is there a purpose? Like, at what point do we just go full AI with music at that point? You know, because if it's already this good now, and already so much of our pop stars are just fucking just a vessel for the brand or the vessel for whatever bullshit is getting pumped through them, it's like we might just get to a point where pop stars are just fucking AI fucking shit.
Well, and you know, I'm sure that's what the studios want at the end of the day, because you know, you don't have to renegotiate a contract with a computer. You don't have to worry about them overdosing. You don't have to worry about them going to jail or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless you have AI Lamar Jackson. That's that is programmed
How
to
does it feel to be wrong about the Lamar Jackson stuff?
Hey,
We'll get into it later.
later.
Just as a teaser.
As a teaser.
You've been so outspoken about, oh, he's going to leave us. He's not a real leader. He hates the Ravens. Lamar Jackson hates the Ravens, and I hate him.
Oh, We'll get into that.
You got 5 more years of that boy now.
Let's just say we'll see. We'll see. We'll
You
see.
calling in the Greeks?
We'll see. No, but as far as this AI thing, I think that like I genuinely
Jimmy's so flustered now.
busted now. Can't think about it. And then just the ghost of Lamar Jackson. No, I totally have that on my notes, and I do want to talk about it. Obviously. But yeah, I mean that really. I mean, to be honest, like I don't really have much more to say about the artificial intelligence thing, other than the debate that I kind of had, the deeper, broader conversation, which is like, you know, is there a time when like the AI gets so good at creating, or can you program artificial intelligence to create like real art? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I mean, well, and that's the thing too, like in this situation, not in this direct situation, but like in a world where AI music gets so good, I feel like it's still not going to be as good as man-made music, just because like there's still like, it's like the difference between listening to a studio album and seeing a band live.
Yeah.
Like there's so much like more emotion in them playing it. There's mistakes, but like they work. Like the human error and that touch on music is almost, you know, as much of what makes music as, you know, making it good.
Well, I was watching. I can't recommend this Netflix series enough.
I thought you were just going to say, I can't recommend this Netflix series. I don't watch this.
I can't recommend it. No, Chimp Empire.
Okay.
Now, I love animal documentaries, but more so than anything, I love chimpanzees. Those are my 2 favorite animals growing up: chimps and tigers. Tigers because they just were dope, but chimps because it's so interesting to study them, because they are like our closest relatives. And then you see how they conduct their day-to-day lives, and like in this particular little mini series, docu-series, whatever you call it, they follow like this tribe of chimpanzees that lives in this jungle, in Ngango jungle.
Oh yeah, I've heard about the
I have AI Jimmy Selesky right now.
That's what we need to do. We just need to be able to take like 6 months off and just put out like straight up AI episodes. That'd be so funny.
I feel like that'd be fairly easy to do.
It'd probably be so easy.
Fruits. Lamar. Space. But like they follow.
I can't recommend Gango enough.
Wait, is this real? Are you guys listening to artificial intelligence right now? Artificial unintelligence. This computer is simulating a retarded man right now.
It's like, no, it can't be an AI podcast. They're too stupid.
They're too stupid. This isn't even artificial intelligence. It's just a lack thereof. No, so they follow this tribe of chimps in like some jungle in, I guess, Uganda, somewhere in Africa. And like so many, like they have like territorial wars and rivalries, and like, you know, the way that they like kind of like go about like grooming for them is a big thing. It's kind of like their way of like connecting and stuff. So like they all try to like, there's like a very, very like tangible hierarchy in the troop, and like everybody's trying to like work their way up, like trying to groom like a male that's like higher than them, and then if he grooms them back, then that means like they're in. But a lot of times they'll groom a male and he just like doesn't groom him back, and that means like you're a bitch still, like I'm still way better than you.
You're not a made man yet.
Exactly. And it's like
the mafia.
You look at these things like how they like they this rival.
I think that's where the I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine comes from.
Probably, yeah. I guess maybe way back in the day
I think it came from the chimpanzees
before we had invented back
down
scratchers.
in Ngango.
Ngango. But like you see like so much of like the human experience when you see these same emotions and these same kind of tendencies being exhibited in other animals, we tend to think of the emotions that we feel or the thoughts that we think as
Like what makes us human.
exactly these.
We're not animals.
exactly, but
When really these animals have more of a sense of community than we do.
in a lot of ways, but also in a lot of ways. Look, I still stand by humans are the best animal. I do
yeah.
truly like. People always want to talk about how humans. It's like never once has it ever crossed a dolphin's mind. Maybe I shouldn't do this thing because it might destroy my environment. Like, yeah, humans also destroy the environment, but we're probably the only species of animal that's ever even thought about that. Like, every other animal tries to fuck with shit as much as they possibly can to benefit themselves.
But we're at the top of the
But they're
food
just
chain,
not-
baby.
yeah,
They can't
exactly.
do it like us.
They can't do it like us. So we're the only animal that's ever had to step back and be like, wait, maybe we should chill a little bit. You
Yeah.
know? A chimp hasn't thought that. I don't know. I don't think that they're worried about their carbon emissions or whatever. You know? Well, they don't have any. And that's another point for humans. You know? Y'all don't even have carbon emissions.
Y'all don't even think about blowing a hole through the ozone.
Your biological footprint is a fucking weird handprint because you have
Yeah.
monkey feet hands and stuff. But it's like they do this shit, and so much of human emotion is just intellectualized instinct. Like, yeah, we feel love. Chimps feel love. Chimps feel rivalries and social. We feel all these things, but then we like intellectualize it. It's kind of the same
Yeah,
principle.
we made up a name for it. That's how you know we're smarter than them.
We gave it a thing. You know, we gave it a word. We gave it a term. We gave it an idea. We put a name to the fucking phenomenon. But just like when we talk about science and stuff, it's like we didn't invent gravity. We just were the first animals to be like, yo, this thing happens, and we're gonna call that gravity. And now we're gonna attempt to explain why that happens. That doesn't mean that other animals don't experience gravity, and it doesn't mean that experiencing gravity is a uniquely human thing just because we're the only animals that actually understand it. So like you look at these things, and then I'm bringing this back to the AI thing because it's like when you understand just how like innate all the human experience is, and the animal experience in general, then it starts to beg the question like, okay, well, could you program a computer algorithm or something like that to eventually get to the point where they can take all those inputs and generate a similar experience or even generate some type of like conscious awareness or things like that? And so like anytime you see something like this, it's like I honestly think that I like to believe that the one thing that will never be able to be replicated by artificial intelligence is art and true emotion. Because I mean, like you can certainly, like a computer might be able to, like if you ask it to write a love song, it would be able to take all the billions of fucking poems and songs and everything that's ever been written about love, movies and shit, and synthesize it all and be like, take it all in and just spit out a fucking thing that just kind of like is an amalgamation of all those things. But it would never be able to put its own experience to it, which is what makes art.
Well, I don't know. I feel like what I would add to that is like art only moves forward with human innovation. Like I don't know if because like for creating AI art or music or whatever, you're still giving it a prompt of stuff it already knows. So like let's say you're trying to, make a fucking Renaissance style fucking painting of whatever. You can give an AI certain terms to, put out a perfect thing, exactly what you're thinking of, better than anything you could commission or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you wanted like a new style of art or like whatever, like I don't think it could be doing that. Like in fucking 2008, a robot didn't make dubstep.
Yeah.
Skrillex did.
Yeah.
Dead Mouse.
We got robots to
Human
sing it
innovation.
with the original robot voices, which were like,
Exactly.
But okay, now I'm kind of backtracking on my own idea. Plug, check out Backtrack by Sophomore, just released. We're gonna hit it big any day now. I can feel it. Just kidding. Just not kidding though. But now I'm thinking like, okay, in a way, all of evolution, and when you talk about evolution, that doesn't only apply to life and animals and biology, but it also applies to anything, the evolution of language. Like Liv was like asking me the other night when we were watching this documentary that I cannot recommend enough. She was like, wait, so did we like come from monkeys, or like how come some evolved and some didn't? And then I was like, you know, obviously as the boyfriend, I got to know these answers, bro.
Yeah.
I got to give an answer. I can't just be like,
Well, something like a monkey shit on a pangolin at a wet market or something.
well, that's
and what
yeah.
happened.
That's how we got COVID, supposedly.
Yeah.
But in this situation, I was like, well, the best way I can think of it is like, okay, so we didn't evolve from chimps. We had like a common ancestor that was like some fucking thing. No animals that were more recent than like 10,000 years ago get like real names. They all have scientific names. You have to be like slightly still popping to get like a normal name, you know?
To get a nickname.
To get a nickname, you know? If you were around 200,000 years ago, you're like fucking Homo erectus or something. You don't get to be like, oh, that's a fucking chimpanzee, you know? You got to get like the stupid name or the cool name, or the scientific name. And so like, you know, basically you look at like, okay, where do chimps live? Chimps live in the jungle. Very hot climate, lots of insects and bugs, very densely, you know, forestation, trees and shit like that. So like if you took the same thing and then humans evolved kind of in like the sub-Saharan, like I guess kind of like the grasslands or whatever, the savannas or whatever. And so that same ape ancestor, when it was placed in the savannas and stuff, well, okay, it's very open and like it's hot as fuck, dude. And so like probably that's why we lost all our hair, because we were like, we don't need the, like if you look at like a lot of the African animals that live in like the open, they don't have a lot of hair. Rhinos don't have that much hair. Elephants, not that much hair. Hippopotamuses, not that much hair. You know, the cats haven't caught on yet, but like they're getting there. You know,
but they're all like short hair.
They're all short hair.
They're not like long, fluffy, dual coat.
Exactly.
Animals.
And I'm thinking of this as I'm going here, but I'm thinking like you could think of so many examples of mammals that lost their hair because it wasn't beneficial. Whales.
Dolphins.
I mean, dolphins. I mean, come on, the list goes on. I think. I don't know. I can't name any more animals. But the list does go on. I guarantee it. And so like we lost our hair. We didn't really have a need to be able to like climb shit. What are we going to climb the one fucking tree in the middle of the goddamn... No. So we developed into being able to have like musculature and a physicality for endurance. And so the way we used to hunt was called persistence hunting. We would just jog after a fucking herd of antelope or whatever and just keep jogging. Boom, 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 boom. And the antelope would be like, what the fuck are these guys doing? They'd let us get a little close. And then when we got a little too close, they sprint away. And we were just like, all right, man, we're just going to keep going, baby. No shit, we're doing it. Boom. Eventually, as the animal we're chasing just gets more and more exhausted from stopping, sprinting. He lets us get a little bit closer every time before he's like, all right, fuck it. Eventually, we get close enough we can hit him with a spear.
Yeah.
Persistence hunting. So we developed musculature where our muscles attach. Like chimps aren't that much bigger than us, but the reason they're 3 times stronger than us is because their muscles attach at a different place. So like they might have similar size. They are bigger than us. They have bigger muscles, I think, still. But like,
well, and they're shorter too. And
yeah,
on short people, muscles always look bigger.
Oh, of course, we know that's my excuse for my bench press forever.
Exactly.
Dude. That's biological, you know. And so their muscle, instead of attaching here at the bicep, like we could have the same size bicep. If it attaches here to pull up my arm, it's pulling up my arm from here. That's not a lot of leverage. Now imagine it attaches here instead. Now I got weight, the same amount of pressure, the same amount of force can lift 3 times as much. That's how chimps develop. So their muscles but it's also not good for endurance or anything like that. So like you take the same fucking thing, you put it in a different situation, and nature is just throwing everything at it. Okay, how about this fucking dude with the fucking this genes, and then he dies off in fucking 1 year, you know? And then eventually, if you throw enough of one thing that works, or just you keep throwing shit out there, the stuff that works, like they say, throwing shit against the wall, seeing what sticks. That's pretty much nature's MO. So like in the jungle, it was like, dude, apes with long hair and short stubby bodies where their fucking feet can grab onto shit and climb, and they're super strong and can fucking move through trees and stuff. That's going to benefit them there. So humans didn't evolve there from that same thing. And the example I used was language. Spanish, French, Latin, or Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian, and Portuguese are all called the Romance languages because they came from Latin, which is now a pretty much dead language outside the Vatican City. People spoke Latin in Western Rome because the Eastern Rome, they spoke Greek, the Byzantine Empire. They kept it real. Western Rome, they were speaking Latin. But when you're speaking Latin over here versus when you're speaking Latin over here, they didn't have the fucking internet. They didn't have fucking cars and planes and shit. Like if you lived over here, you probably were never going to go over there ever. So just like accents are built. I mean, we have fucking a different accent than people in New York. We live 3 hours away by car. It's like, you know, so like eventually people start going into their own sphere, talking, and eventually accents become dialects. And at a certain point, a dialect becomes a completely different language to the point where French, you can listen to somebody speak French and then listen to somebody speak Spanish, or even better example is listen to somebody speak Spanish and listen to Italian. And you can tell that they're rooted in the same thing, but you couldn't, if you're a Spanish speaker, you couldn't have a full conversation with an Italian guy. But that all rooted from the same language. So like, I guess this long drawn out diatribe here, circling back to AI, is like, in a way, that's all evolution is. It's like you just put somebody in a situation and then like, okay, so like Renaissance period, for instance, with the art. Okay. So you're in the Renaissance period and there's a certain type of like, I would say 10% of people, or maybe even less than that, 10% of people are wave makers and the other 90% are wave riders, meaning that every single artistic innovation or any single innovation in anything, honestly, 10% is generous. I would almost be willing to say 1% to 99, but who knows? So you have people that when Renaissance style was first like kind of like come up with, somebody did that first thing, you had another 100,000 people or whatever that were all like, oh, this is a style, now let me do that. So in a way, that's no different than artificial intelligence just replicating what it already sees. If you're just some artist that's not really developing his own style and you're just like, yo, this is what works, you see it all the time. You see people like with music, it's like A$AP Rocky comes out with LSD and then, 16 other fucking people that you know that are rappers come out with a song that sounds exactly like it. And you're like, oh, okay, so you're basically AI. Yeah. You're basically just generating based off of what you saw succeeding. So it's like, okay, so in that way, it's like not any different than a computer program, But then you go, okay, so think of nature as a computer program. Nature's going, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to have all kinds of genetic mutations. If you keep on fucking somebody that's too close to your genetics, you're going to die off inbreeding, because all of nature is dependent on the idea that we're going to take genetics that are just different enough so that we can have all these different genetic variations so that one of them will work. And then when that person goes on to the next generation, he mates and then spreads that gene down. And then eventually, all of a sudden, just like with dog breeds, it takes 7 generations. You go boom, 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 boom. And then boom, now you have a new breed of dog because you've just eradicated all those other genes from that other, golden retriever. No, we want dogs with spots and we want this. Now we got the fucking Dalmatian, So it's like, in that way, when you really get into it, it is such a difficult thing to kind of distinguish the difference between just a computer program simulation type thing and the conscious experience of being human or anything that exists that has a consciousness. It's like this thing walks that uncanny valley, which makes you question, like, am I literally just a fucking simulation? Am I literally just something that's just taking inputs and responding to them based off the fucking program that's already in me? Like, I don't know, Who knows? The Weeknd knows.
What's with that?
What's with that? Speaking of what's with that topics, I actually have more topics this week than ever in history.
Really?
I do.
Keep them coming, I guess. We were on AI for a minute.
We really were. Supposedly. I was on fucking monkeys.
Well, we were just reading off the script from ChatGPT, so I actually don't know how long that was.
ChatGPT, give me a 15-minute nonsensical rant about chimpanzees. Done.
ChatGPT, let's talk about Lamar Jackson signing a 5-year deal for the Ravens.
Oh, here we go. All right. Okay, I can get into more. I'll do that. I don't really have much to say about this because when I'm wrong about something, like why would I dwell on it? You know, why would I talk about something for an extended period of time when it's embarrassing? Lamar is going to stay in Baltimore. I said for a long time that I did not believe he would. In that case, I am coming here to apologize to the LFTS community. That does not represent who I am. That is not what Live from the Studio is about. And I was wrong. However, you knew I wasn't just going to give a straight up. Come on, bruh. Come on.
Grovel?
I'm just buttering you up. Just buttering you up to accept this alternate premise. My main contention with Lamar was always about mostly the leader thing. The fact that he got signed to this deal does not disprove that. I never, and you could go back to the podcast and listen to the most recent time we talked about him, which I think was like a few episodes ago at this point, maybe 4 or 5. I never was really, I said that I didn't necessarily personally believe that he was worth the amount of money he wanted. But I also, in that same sentence, that same paragraph, if you will, said that also my opinion as it pertains to that is irrelevant because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. The only opinion I really ever gave about Lamar Jackson, the main opinion I gave was that the way he handled this situation was disgraceful. And I stand by that. Yes, he got signed. We talked about that when he requested a trade a couple episodes ago. We were saying like it's very unlikely that he's going to wind up getting signed, and most people didn't think that this was going to happen. It kind of came as a surprise to everybody. But we allowed for a possibility when we talked about it. So he's signed. I'm still interested to see, like we discussed last time, how when he plays this season, how he's going to be received, because I think that because of the way he handled the situation, he turned off a lot of fans. I do believe that. And that was really my main point. I mean, like, I didn't come on here acting like I'm fucking, Skip Bayless or like whoever the fucking ESPN Sports Network guys who are sitting here discussing the logistics of contracts. I barely know the difference between guaranteed money and fucking, 200. He's got a contract for $250 million with 185 guaranteed. And all I can think is like, well, if you get a contract for $250, isn't $250 guaranteed? Like, I don't fucking know the difference. I never claimed to be that guy.
It was a contract.
Yeah, I thought this was a contract. It's just a fucking like a wish list now at this point. Like, all right, we guarantee 185, but it'd be sweet. It would be sweet if you got 250. Like, I don't fucking know. No. Whatever, It's like, so like, I don't ever claim and never have claimed to know all the ins and outs of that. The only thing I ever said was, I don't think he's a leader. I stand by that. And the reason I don't think he's a leader is because of the way he handled this situation. And I stand by that. So he's back. Look, I'm a Ravens fan, baby. And you know what? At the end of the day, Ravens ain't paying my fucking bills. They ain't getting me any closer to reaching my goals. So I root for them because they represent my city. Mm-hmm. And that's where I leave it. Look, I'm not gonna fucking sit here and root against Lamar or root against the Ravens. I want the Ravens to succeed. I'm a Ravens fan more than I am a Lamar Jackson hater. Because I'm not a Lamar Jackson hater. I just didn't dig the way he handled it, So, look, he's back. That's great. Look, just like a couple months ago, we were saying it's very, he requested a trade. It's pretty much signed in stone that he's not going to be here next season. And now he's here. So, that quickly you could see something happen where he's traded. And I'm not saying I want that or I don't want that, but I'm just saying, like, it's a fucking billion-dollar business. This shit happens. This shit unhappens. Goes all over the boards. If you are a person who is happy that Lamar Jackson is staying, then I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you.
Jimmy's just pissed that he was wrong.
But I got 3 months of gloating and grandstanding out of this whole ordeal. I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it. You know, whatever, dude. People are allowed to be wrong. And you know what? If I
Look, this is the first time people are allowed to be wrong.
look, is it illegal to be wrong? I'm sorry. Sue me. I didn't think he was coming back. He is coming back. I'm wearing a goddamn Baltimore Ravens jacket. That's about the extent of my investment in the goddamn franchise at the contract table. Negotiating table. I don't fucking know. You know. So look, I'd rather be wrong about this than anything that actually matters. Which I've been wrong about that stuff too, but nobody's called me out so blatantly as I have been today by my own other host. And to that I say, what's with that?
What's with that?
What's with that, bro? Coming from my throat, live on the air?
Listen, live from the studio, I had to make the first episode of What's With That a good one. You know what I mean?
You gotta set the record straight. I feel you.
Yeah.
You got any What's With That news, dude?
No, but really speeding past this one, huh? Really speeding past the Lamar topic.
I mean, what
I know you said you had a lot of topics, so I'll let it slide.
What
But
do you want
what's
me to
with that?
What do you fucking want me to say, dude? Clearly, I am not the place you need to go.
Clearly, I'm not going to say I was wrong.
For Lamar news. And clearly, I'm not going to sit here and dwell on being wrong. I'm probably just going to cut this segment out anyway. Who cares?
What's with that?
What's with that? Another What's With That news. I got a lot of What's With That. And I didn't realize, but that is literally...
Those are all the topics you have.
All the topics is What's With That. Notably, I didn't have Lamar in here.
Conveniently left that out.
Conveniently omitted that topic from the What's With That list.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
We'll figure out what's with that next week on the pod.
Okay. First, we're gonna go in order of inconsequentiality to consequentiality here. First, What's With That? Least important? Speeding corridors. Have you ever heard of a speeding corridor?
Speeding corridor. I feel like I've heard that phrase before. Mm-hmm. Is that just like active areas where people speed?
It is basically similar to a speeding camera, but the way it works is instead of just being like one singular point that measures your speed at that point, what it does is it marks your time when you pass one, and then it checks in on you like however many long, I don't know, a mile, I don't know how long it is, but then it's another marker there. And then if your average speed over that course was like enough to get you a speeding camera ticket, you'll get hit with the speeding corridor ticket.
Damn, where the fuck are those?
Moco, baby. Montgomery County. I was driving home from Gaithersburg. I had to take a different route home. Because I had to get gas. I was on like literally empty. I went up cash apping some other classic Gaithersburg guy $11 so that he cash apped me $11 because he needed to buy a pack of cigarettes. So I was like, this is Moco as fuck, baby. And so then I looked at the gas price. I saw it was like a little higher than we pay back in the States. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna get myself enough to get home and I'll fill up when I get back. It's like that now, baby. And so I filled up. I'm taking this alternate route home, and I'm driving. I'm looking out for like where I think would be a speeding. I don't see any of the classic telltale signs of a speeding camera, and so I'm just cruising, and I'm not even going.
And
that
also,
fast.
you're being fuel efficient.
I'm being fuel efficient. I'm trying. I got 1 gallon of gas. I got to make it an hour. Let's make it happen. So. And then out of nowhere, I just see a flash right behind me. And I look back. There's no speeding camera. There's nothing, and I'm like, did somebody just like flicker their high beams at me? I'm the only one on the road. It had to be me. And then so the next day I wake up and I'm like, what was that? And like I'm looking up like speeding camera locations, and there's only like 13 in the whole county. And I'm looking like, was there one on Ridge Road? Because that was what I was taking back. None on Ridge Road. And then I see this other subsection that says speeding corridor locations. And literally all of Montgomery County is a gigantic speeding corridor.
God damn.
And so I'd never heard of this concept before, and I look at it and I discover what it is, and I'm like, wow, that is like I would venture to say almost borderline. I mean, look, in terms of getting somebody for speeding, that is the better way to do it.
Yeah,
Because once you
that's
figure out,
that's an easier way. Yeah, that's a more foolproof system than the camera itself.
it's kind of ingenious. I mean, think of like if 83 was like that. Think of
Yeah.
like if instead of
Well, it's almost like instead of like having a toll, like when you're like going into Delaware, there's a toll. It's like the Jersey Turnpike, where you go in at one point and leave at one point, and they calculate how much you owe based on entry and exit.
yeah, and similar to I guess how they do it on like in Florida they have like the Sun Pass thing and you pay toll. So it's an established technology. And imagine if 83 instead of having like the 3 speeding cameras on the way down from 695 to the end of it, it's like
Yeah, there's a finish line and a
could you
Yeah.
and just how many tolls you've
Starting,
racked
yeah.
up over the course.
Jesus Christ.
Like it's way more efficient, but as a driver, it's
way more scummy.
It sucks, dude. Basically, it's basically saying like if they had it on 83, it's like, all right, dude, we clocked you in entering at off of 695, and then once you cross Fayette Street, got into downtown, like you made it in this amount of time, and that was too fast.
Yeah,
there's
you're
no
going too
way
fast.
you could
You
have
made it
done that.
10 seconds quicker than an average 55.
And then you get a ticket. It's like that's fucking. I mean, look, again, I can't argue against it because in reality, it is one of the innovations. It's
It's
definitely
almost more fair than a speeding ticket.
way more fair. It's way more
But
fair both ways.
Also more bullshit.
It's way more
because
bullshit.
you can't fight that in court.
Speeding corridors is
You
one of the.
cannot fight a speeding corridor ticket.
Yeah, I took a shortcut.
Yeah, what
like
the fuck?
it's just it is wild because it's one of the few things in
Yeah,
life.
actually,
that is-
daylight savings kicked in as I was driving that road, so that's why I made the hour cut in time.
It is literally one of the few things in life that is way better and way shittier at the same time.
Yeah, what the
because
fuck?
a speeding camera really is a money grab. Because
Yeah.
anybody who's driven down that street more than once knows where that camera is. They're gonna speed the other 99.9% of that road outside of where they know that camera is. Everybody comes to a slow passing that and then goes back to speeding again. And it's
Yeah.
like that is the most textbook just money grab because the government knows that too.
Mm-hmm.
They know that people aren't going to be fucking driving safely for 20 miles down 83 or 10 miles down 83 when everybody who drives down to downtown more than once knows it's there,
Yeah.
there, and there.
And especially when it's like when you're driving and no one else is out. When you're not being a danger to anyone, I feel like maybe those corridors should be active. Well, no, yeah, it should be active when there's traffic and people walking around and shit. But if it's like in the middle of the night, who the fuck cares if you're going an extra couple miles an hour?
Here's a good pitch for AI. Why not have flexible speed limits based on the time of day, like we're
Yeah.
talking about? Like,
Yeah, dude, the same way Waze can calculate mid your like car trip. Like, oh shit, rerouting. If you go this way, you save 5 minutes.
yeah,
Why can't you just do that with fucking speed or
it's like
anything?
like during the day, this road is like a lot of traffic. It's school zone, whatever. But then at night, you can go 15 miles faster. There's nobody on the fucking road. It's 1 a.m. You can go. You're getting home. What are
Yeah.
you doing? Like that would be, but they'll never do that. But
No, they'll never do that.
yeah, speeding corridors. I don't even know if I got with it. I haven't checked my mail. I'm afraid to check.
I
my
feel
mail.
like, yeah, speeding corridor should mean like you pay an extra $2 to get on this and go faster. That's what a speeding corridor should be.
Well, I think they have the express lanes for that, but I
Yeah.
think that should be like everything. Like
That should
you
be
pay
everywhere. That
a
should be
s-
on York Road.
speed
There should be a
toll.
speeding corridor.
Yeah.
Middle lane where you just go fast as
Yeah.
fuck.
the shared turn lane. You just blast down it. You mind dropping a couple sponsors? I'm gonna take a whiz real quick.
Yeah. Coming this August to Oregon Ridge. Check out the Hot August Music Festival. Not an official sponsor of LFTS podcast. The Hot August Music Festival is an all-day, family-friendly, all-ages music festival with your favorite all genre bending musicians. We've got people like insert artist here and insert artist here coming to stages big and small for all to see. I think one of the big sponsors this year is Union Craft Brewing. And they're going to be brewing up something special for you guys out there this August. So stay cool drinking a Union Brew out at Oregon Ridge at the Hot August Music Festival, everybody. We'll see you there. We'll see you there. Me and Jimmy will be there. We'll be there signing autographs, kissing babies. I'll probably be taking some pictures. And it should just be, an overall fun time. And August, I think weed's going to be legal. So who knows? Who knows what will happen at the Hot August Music Festival? There's going to be a special tent for kids to vape. And then another tent for adults to do blinkers. Because you can't do those around the kids. But come on out to the Hot August Music Festival. We'll see you there, buddies. How's that piss?
It was good. It was a good piss.
Was it hot?
It was hot. Hot May piss. Nothing like it.
It is May. That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it is
May
weird.
1st today.
It is weird. It is substantially... my watch broke. That sucks. And it always tells me the day. And I woke up this morning. I was like, what the fuck? It's May 1st?
It's April 32nd.
Shitty fucking watch, dude. Let's see. What's up with that?
What's up with that?
Minor thing. This is really small. This is just a very small side away as it pertains to music. Guys, if you're making a music biopic, or is it biopic? I don't know. I think
it's biopic.
Biopic sounds better. Biopic sounds like a fucking
Yeah, it sounds like a medical
operation
thing, yeah. Biopsy. That's why it sounds medical.
Yeah. You don't need to make it the title of one of their songs. Some of them make sense.
What's with that?
Like there are certain ones where it makes sense. Where okay, you have Queen, and their biopic was called Bohemian Rhapsody. I get that. That kind of makes sense. Queen definitely was doing a very different style of music. I've never been a huge fan of them, but I do respect their musicality, and I like some of their music. But the idea of a Bohemian Rhapsody, that very well does kind of capture the kind of vibe of Queen. It was kind of this very interesting rhapsody of bohemia. Then you have Elton John's, which was called Rocket Man. That's a little bit of a stretch. I guess you could be yeah, man, he was this guy who he just took off. He made it. Rocket Man. And you're okay.
Luckily, the Elvis one was just called Elvis.
Yeah,
I think, right?
We'll see. But I think he had a song called Elvis, probably.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
He had a self-titled EP.
Just a self-titled song.
Yeah.
Not even an EP. Just, this is my new single, Elvis, by me. Elvis. No, that's a good one. Motley Crue didn't do it. They had The Dirt, which is not a name of their song, but the name of the book that Nikki Sixx wrote about their experience. Love that. I watch that every 6 months to get pumped up to be in a band, and just watch a bunch of things that I never experienced happen. But the new one with Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. Why? You might as well just call it I Will Always Love You. Just pick a fucking song. How will I know?
I guess because I Will Always Love You... I don't know. Doesn't that have some weird negative connotations to it because Bobby Brown was an abuser?
See,
it's a song about and I'll always love you.
I didn't even
know you beat my ass.
So there's two things. First of all, I didn't even think of that angle. I was pitching that as just another ridiculous title, but honestly, it would be a better title because so much of her legend was
dying in a bathtub.
Yeah, and tainted by her whole relationship with Bobby Brown, which is I Will Always Love You, and talking about how she was in this abusive relationship and she still loved him and stayed with him. That would honestly be a better title for the movie.
Yeah, probably.
Also, but that song was originally written by Dolly Parton.
And by an AI.
And by AI. AI Dolly Parton. But I Want to Dance with Somebody? Like at a certain point, it's just like, dude, just name the fucking movie like, I don't know, Whitney or Whitney Houston, A Singer's Tale. I don't know anything. A Singer's Tale. I don't know. It's just like, why? There's just this thing that I see going on where it's like, you don't have to do that, which leads me to my next point in the same point. Disney.
I mean, to be fair, naming shit is hard.
Naming shit is hard, but like when in doubt, just call it what it is.
I mean, honestly, we let an AI write the name of our podcast.
We kind of did.
What's with that?
What's with that? We do kind of very much have the most AI generated podcast name that somehow it was so simple. Nobody thought of it ever.
Yeah, no one thought to be live from the studio.
Artificial intelligence. We had to bring real human unintelligence to the table to come up with this name that works so well. But it's like the other thing, and speaking of movies, is I was thinking about this after existing on Twitter for any amount of time. Disney live action movies, everyone gets caught up in, oh, this character shouldn't have been played by this person because this character was this and that person's that, blah, 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 all this shit. Has anyone stopped to consider that literally, at least as far as I can recall, not a single Disney live action movie has
made
been
for adults
or has been good or better than the original.
Terrible.
They've not a single. I have never heard these are words.
They're going direct to Disney Plus now because they're so bad.
Things people never said. The original was good, but you got to watch the live action. It was so much better. It just really like the live action Lion King better than the original. The live action Little Mermaid better than the original. The live action whatever they have. It's
Jungle Book and
they're just unnecessary.
Everything.
It's like literally the only thing people ever talk about when it comes to these is the casting. People get in these debates about this, that. It's like, yeah, it's an obnoxious conversation. But then you realize at the end of the day, it's just Disney just rehashing their old shit and repackaging it in like now it's live action. It's like, it all sucks. Nobody actually gives a shit about that movie. Whenever people think about the Lion King, you're thinking about the original Lion King. When you watch the Jungle Book, you're watching
James Earl Jones, baby.
So what are we doing? It's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary, dude. They need to stop. Disney needs to fucking...
They gotta stop making all this money.
You need to stop.
I mean, honestly, like... The live action versions of the Disney movies are basically like early AI generated art. Like they're not good. They're really bad.
They're not.
I feel like they waited a while to do it so the technology could get there, but like they should have waited a little longer.
I get that like a lot of the original Disney movies were just like animations of like old folktales anyway. Like Cinderella, I'm pretty sure was like already a thing.
Yeah, Sleeping Beauty,
Snow White, probably.
Fantasia.
All those things. So Disney kind of has always been doing that. But like once you've done it once, it's like now your entire corporation is just retelling the same story over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only one that I would be excited to see is a live action Hercules. I would totally watch that.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Because the thing is, like, you can't do what's the movie where the dogs eat spaghetti? They made that a real life movie. You don't make a Lady and the Tramp movie. Because there's no people main characters. I kind of understand Jungle Book, at least because you have the fucking little kid.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, Lion King is so stupid to do. Like they picked all the hardest ones to do live action.
The hardest ones.
They're saying they're live action movies, but it's all just like computer animated animals.
Lilo and Stitch. How are you gonna live action Stitch?
Yeah.
Who's playing Stitch? Danny DeVito? Who's fucking playing Stitch?
That would be good.
I mean, that would be.
That would be amazing.
That'd be honestly good.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, and here's the thing. Like, I'm sure people are up in arms on that because I saw that get announced. But I feel like that's an even better. That's a better story to make live action than fucking like what they have already done, The Lion King. Like,
yeah.
Why the fuck would you redo The Lion King with real animals?
It's just it's a sad thing because you see all these classic tales.
Even the Aladdin one where it's like you can't have Robin Williams as the genie. He's dead.
Yeah.
That's what made the movie so good.
And he's icon. That's like they're in the words of Joey Diaz. Is there nothing sacred anymore? Like, why is it? Because as much as we can be like, yo, yeah, this movie is just a movie. It's a fictional story. Stop being so hung up on it. And it's like, okay, great. But at the same time, these same people make entire careers and billions of dollars by putting these stories out that become part of the culture, and then they rape it and then squeeze it out for everything it's worth and then taint the original thing. Like, I watched The Great Gatsby a couple weeks ago, and not a terrible movie, not great. I do like Leonardo DiCaprio in general.
The mid Gatsby.
Yeah, it was literally like they're playing, like, I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
But basically, like, it takes place obviously in like the 20s in like New York City, like outside New York and stuff. But they're playing like modern music and shit. Like they're playing like Jay-Z and shit.
Yeah.
And this movie was made in 2013, so I think that was kind of like when they started doing shit like that a lot.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're kind of like, what gives you, this one guy, the right to take this story and completely shit on it by like kind of tainting it with this like modern edge? It's like, dude, the movie took place in 1920. If you're having a party scene, you shouldn't be playing some fucking like Katy Perry song. You shouldn't. It should be a 20s song.
But also, it's like, that could have been fun if that was the first time they did that. But now we're 10 years after the fact, and other people are still like mimicking that formula. That's what makes it bad, in my opinion.
Was it new when they did it in 2013 though?
Maybe.
Because maybe I should have watched it when it first came out, and maybe I would have been more
Maybe
appreciative
it would have
of
been
it.
like, damn, that's sick.
Because they did a lot of that, like,
They flew
2013
Jay-Z back
shit.
to the 20s.
Like, they did a lot of that shit, like Project X style stuff, where they're at the party and they have like the freeze frames of guys like drinking and stuff. It's like, yeah, when we were that age, it was cool.
Yeah.
But now it's like, now that we've made it long past there and realized that was never going to be any of our experience at parties ever, like, I wonder maybe that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's like, if I'm watching a movie about like the fucking Trojan War, I don't want to hear like fucking Jay-Z. Like fucking, like, I don't want to hear like some like Taylor Swift song during a love scene when fucking Achilles is making out with fucking Queen Penelope. It doesn't make sense. It's
but
like,
what if they do the Westworld thing, where they do like old time saloon piano renditions of a modern day song? Because that shit was kind of sick when that came out in Westworld. I haven't seen Westworld. That at least sounds mildly more tolerable. Mm-hmm.
But I still kind of lean towards the, like, I don't get why they feel the need to do it, other than that they look at it as like some like way of like putting their own mark on the story. And I do think, like I said, some things are sacred and some things are like certain stories that have been so like pivotal in American culture and these classic literary tales. Like, if you're going to direct that movie, then if you want to do an honest and respectful recreation of that movie that puts you in the time and place, then that's your prerogative. But the second you start going like, yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote this movie or wrote this book, but like, I'm some random director who's never going to have another movie come out again, but I'm just going to fucking take this monumental story that people literally read in school and just completely put my own fucking spin on it. And it's like, what gives you the right to do that, dude? You know what you can put a spin on? Your own fucking movie. How about you take a goddamn story out of your own goddamn head and put your whatever spins you want on that and see if it flies. But the second you start going like, oh, it's like the same thing conversation we might probably had, or I think we did, about like the Scooby-Doo thing. It's like, at a certain point, it becomes like, it's like, yeah, I get it. You're trying to like you're trying to like put your own spin, but it's like, okay, but if you're so concerned about your individual touch as an artist, then just make your own story. You know, if I was sitting here just doing like, yeah, dude, we're sophomore, we just recorded a cover album where we're just putting our own touch on Stairway to Heaven and American Pie and fucking All Along the Watchtower and all these other classic songs that are fucking so classic and don't need to be redone. It's like, all right, man, write your own goddamn song at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's like, what gives you the right to just fucking be the guy who does that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't fuck with it, dude. I do not fuck with it, you know? And it's, like you fucking Passion of the Christ. It's like, oh, let's fucking, how about we just play a fucking Ed Sheeran song during the crucifixion? No! How about no? I want to hear some fucking chanting. I want to, because that's what they would have been listening to back then. There would have been somebody in the background fucking hymning.
Well, my problem with that movie is that, the Bible's, it's, was written by such scholars that why need to make a movie about it? Mel Gibson. You didn't even, you're trying to, I'm better than God.
It is.
You're not better than God, Mel Gibson.
Yeah, God wrote this story.
God wrote the
God
Bible.
wrote it. Yeah, God, it's a pretty good job, but I'll take it from here.
Yeah.
I'll take it from here.
What's with that?
What's with that? Let's see. I think we got time for one more.
Yeah,
What's
what
with
else
that?
has been bugging you?
Well, real quick, shouts out to Jerry Springer. He died.
Yeah, shouts out. Shouts out to his death. But for real, though, iconic man.
Iconic man.
I would watch him a lot. We would watch Jerry Springer a lot as a family.
Yeah, the original kind of reality television, if you think about it. I mean, that was like the original,
Amazing.
really reality television. And so, yeah, shout out to him. I got nothing to say bad about him. Let's see. Other things. Briefly, obviously, you got to talk about Tucker Carlson getting fired from Fox News.
Oh, and then Don Lemon.
At the same time.
Same time, same day.
And nobody's thinking there's some weird backroom deals. It's like
no one's thinking they're the same guy.
I've never seen Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon in the same room. That's all I'm saying.
And they got fired at the same time. What if they're both AI? What if they're the same robot? And that one robot got fired.
Look, I don't understand why. This is another thing that gets me. It's like these. Like, okay, so CNN was Don Lemon, Tucker was Fox News. Tucker, when I say Tucker was Fox News. Don Lemon was just a guy on CNN because they have like fucking Brian Stelter and like a bunch of other people and shit. Al Sharpton's got a show on there, I'm pretty sure. Brooke something, maybe. I don't know. I haven't watched CNN in so long. And I also don't really watch Fox News. I did occasionally watch Tucker Carlson because I thought that he was pretty solid as a dude.
I just thought it was so funny that he lied on national television and got fired.
Look, the thing with Tucker Carlson is when the
text came out when he was calling all of his audience stupid and gullible, that was hilarious.
Look,
I'm not gonna lie.
I think there is a certain I think there has been a certain mischaracterization of how he handled that situation. And I'm not going to lie. This is me putting my own balls on the table here. I was receptive to the idea that something fishy was going on with that election. I was receptive to it. And I actually, now I never became one of the guy, because at a certain point, it's like at a certain point, you just get to a point where people keep saying there's going to be this, there's going to be that.
Okay, there's going to be a recount. Happen. You got to donate to me so we can do a recount. And it's like, yeah, but you're just a grifter.
Yeah. So as far as the whole actual physical switching of votes, I don't think that happened, at least in the way they describe it. However, I think there's a very valid point to be made that when you have all of big tech and all of corporate media actively censoring any news stories that affect the Biden campaign and actively pushing any news stories that would hurt the Trump campaign, you could make the argument that they're obviously it wasn't people weren't physically changing votes, but when you're hiding certain information and pushing other information to influence people's opinions and perceptions, you could make the case that that's not a completely fair election. Mm-hmm. I don't get caught up in all that shit because ultimately, whatever. But as far as Tucker Carlson goes, I remember getting frustrated even with him when the first thing happened, because he was kind of one of the first ones to really just kind of can that whole he talked about it, but at the same time it's like that is kind of what a journalist or what a reporter. He's not a journalist, he's not a reporter. He's a what do you call those, like editorialist or commentator or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, he's basically like a
like they're supposed to have an opinion.
Yeah,
they don't claim to be a reporter of objective thing. It's like, when you turn on any of those network media channels, you're getting an obviously curated, biased perspective. And Tucker Carlson did for a brief time, and I emphasize the word brief, kind of entertain that whole Dominion voting thing. But he was really one of the first people, and it wasn't that long, one of the first people to be like, well, we haven't seen any evidence of this. This is bullshit. And again, this kind of goes back to the whole Lamar thing, which is like, look, you're allowed to be wrong. Mm-hmm. And also it's like, there is a lot of things that people have been wrong about. Look, there's a lot of news pundits on the air that are still on the air and nobody's questioning their legitimacy, that for the first 3 months of the COVID vaccine refused to admit that you could even still get the virus.
Well, they refused to admit it was a lab leak.
Yeah.
And in all reality, that's probably what happened.
Yeah. So you have that. Then you have the fact that it's like, we were pitched the vaccine for one thing, and then over the course of 3 or 4 months, it became like, oh, well, you still get it and you still spread it, but like it just keeps you from getting as sick as you would have gotten sick. It's like, okay, well, that's a thing that people were just wrong about. And like, am I advocating that like every single person on MSNBC, every single person on CNN should be fired because they all pitched that shit, and some of them continue to pitch that shit, even though it's obviously everyone in their right mind understands that that's not the case? It's like, look, just like with the Lamar thing, it's like, it's okay to be wrong. It's not illegal to be wrong. And if you're a person who's commentating on politics and you come across a story, which was at the time, you don't have any way of knowing if this is a completely bogus story. And so you bring it up on air. You say, look, the Trump campaign is saying this. Now, even the Trump campaign, the main arbiter of that whole story was Sidney Powell. They fired her after like literally 12 days or something ridiculous. They fucking got rid of her because even they realized, like, you're bad for the campaign. You're making all these claims. You have no evidence. You have no proof. And you're delegitimizing our entire point, which is a bigger thing. So like even the Trump campaign got rid of her. And very shortly after, there were very few people on that side that were still pushing it. And I mean, there were people that push it. There are still people that push it.
I mean, yeah,
but
there's people to this day that still say it was rigged.
But Tucker Carlson, he's guilty of talking about and entertaining an idea that ultimately panned out to this point to not be, provable or true. Mm-hmm. And so but at the same time, it's like that I don't think was what I think that was the excuse to fire him, because when you look at Fox News and CNN, like when you see them firing 2 of their anchors at the same time on the same day, it's like there should be no more clearly evident thing of just how in cahoots, to use an old school term, all these fucking media conglomerates are.
Oh yeah,
like
because they're hedging, or they're whatever the fuck, they're firing Don Lemon because they're like, okay, well, that Tucker Carlson firing is going to be a bigger news story, and vice versa for Fox. So they're like, oh, well, we're firing Tucker, but look at what CNN's doing. They fired Don Lemon.
Yeah, and
they fired a black man today.
Well, it's in the midst of like the big Dominion lawsuit, the defamation lawsuit, and the reality is, it's like, look, there's a lot of people, just like there's a lot of Trump voters that aren't really self-proclaimed Republicans because his main appeal was the fact that he wasn't really just an establishment Republican. There's a lot of people that watch Fox News specifically when Tucker Carlson was on. They didn't fuck with Sean Hannity. They didn't watch fucking Janine Shapiro or whatever. Like, they weren't in there. They might have watched Greg Gutfeld because he's another like kind of funny guy. But like for the most part, like Tucker was occupying a position at Fox News, but he was saying and doing a lot of things that were not completely on board with what the Republican conservative establishment, media establishment particularly, and political establishment, which are the same fucking thing, in case anybody hasn't noticed yet. He was not entirely on board with that, and he was saying things against like certain sponsors that were literally like he would be questioning, like Fox News had fucking pharmaceutical sponsors and shit like that, and he's fucking sitting on there questioning the fucking vaccine while they're getting paid to be on the air by the fucking thing. And it's like, he was like, what you realize is when Trump entered the election in 2016 with the Republican Party did everything they could to push him out of there. They were having debates with like 12 people on the fucking stage just because they were doing everything they could to try to undermine the fact that he had way more appeal than anybody they had to put up against him within that party. And then only once he became the clear frontrunner and winner of the Republican nomination did the Republican establishment actually get behind him, which shows you that actually, no, Trump didn't speak for the Republican Party, but he resonated with a lot of the Republican conservative base, which means that it's actually the Republican Party that wasn't resonating with their base. And Fox News is another fucking offshoot of that Republican establishment, that typical neocon textbook Republican establishment that just really is the Pepsi to the Democrats' Coke. And they all fucking work together. They all fucking you have Mitch McConnell, like you kind of have to be like abreast as I am, because I am more right-leaning within the spheres of right-leaning media. Just see how fucking much of a divide there is between like the just dudes who just kind of say shit and believe what they're saying versus the dudes who are very clearly just establishment Republicans. And like, you still have guys like Sean Hannity on there, like, you know, they have their fucking segments where all they do is just talk about like, and a trans bullfrog walked into, it's like, you know, they just do all the talking points that appeal. Tucker really was the only guy that was like kind of doing his own thing. And ultimately it fucked with, I think, like, you know, Fox News is covering their ass. You know, they didn't have a problem when he was getting all those fucking being the number one guy on their network for the past however many years he's been on there. But all of a sudden it becomes a money thing. And now, oh, we need to cut ties. Coincidentally, it wasn't until the lawsuit where Fox News felt the need to fucking do this. And then, of course, again, you have this firing of two people at the same time. And you're like, okay, well, that's clearly coordinated.
So why did Don Lemon get fired? Because he's gay?
He just had bad ratings. And he's gay. No, he had bad ratings, dude. Like, he was moved from like a primetime slot, and then he moved to a daytime slot, and then he got in trouble with the whole saying like women past their 40s aren't in their prime thing. I don't know if you heard about that. It was like a big thing. He was on like some like, I didn't give a shit. I kind of see what he meant, but it was like, I think that, you know, I think that he just kind of thought he would get a pass saying something like that, and then it wound up backfiring on him, and that became a whole like fucking controversy. And then, like, he was kind of on his way out. And so, you know, it's like, it's kind of like the same thing. Like, when we talk about, like, the United States traded a fucking convicted, like arms dealer for terrorists to get Brittany Griner back. It's like an awful trade deal. Like, Fox News got rid of Tucker, and CNN was just like, okay, we'll get rid of this. Fox News got rid of their number one guy. And then CNN was like, all right, I guess we'll get rid of, like, this guy that we put at like the fucking daytime television slot, whatever. It's just like things like that. It's like, look, I think if there's any mainstream cable news guy that gets any of my respect, it's Tucker Carlson, dude. I'm not saying I agree with everything he said, but he really was one of the few guys in that media. And now there's going to be nobody. There's nobody when you turn on the television now that's actually saying anything that actually applies.
Like journalist or news reporter or whatever you want to call it, host that I'll ever respect is Nardwar, the human serviette.
The human serviette.
I don't even know what that means.
Serviette, I think, means napkin.
Okay. Nardwar, the human napkin.
The human napkin. I don't know. Not a great name. And last thing before we leave.
What's with that?
What's with that?
You tell me we only got one more thing?
One more thing, folks, and we'll call it a day. This is a longer story. I'm going to make into a short story. When I was pulled over...
I'm going to turn it into a live action feature.
Yeah, and we're going to play fucking music from the future over it. I was pulled over coming home from Gaithersburg last Saturday.
In the channel?
No, I made it all the way to the Towson Circle. An hour, and I got pulled over basically in the Towson Circle.
Damn.
Because a state trooper had pulled over somebody like right in that inlet to Joppa Road from the Circle. Like, you're coming around from York Road south, and you're going like, oh, here's all the bars there, but you go past that, and then you make the right at Shake Shack and shit. So a state trooper had pulled somebody over right there, And then another cop happened to be right in front of me and just pulled right behind the state trooper and stopped with their lights on, so completely blocking off the lane. So I was like, all right, so you're completely blocking off this lane of Joppa Road. It's 1 a.m. There's nobody on the fucking road. And I was just like, all right, I'll just like go right past this lane and just make a right at the other thing, which happened to be an outgoing thing. But so I was immediately pulled over. I just drove into my apartment.
Yeah.
I just like let them tail me into my apartment, turned in there. And then they got out, like, what are you doing? I was like, I live here. And they were like, and it was a female cop, which I'd love to say has nothing to do with the story, but it does. Because of course it does. Just very like, she immediately comes up and she's like, just like comes up to the window. And she's like, you have any idea what you just did? Blah, blah, blah. Just give me this lecture, like yelling at me. Are you a Towson University student? I was like, no, I'm 30. And she was like, oh, you're 30. And I was like, she was like, where are you? Let me see your license. She's like, where do you live? And I was like, I live here. She's like, oh yeah, you live here? What's your apartment number? I was like, 1115. What? Like, why are you talking to me like this? Like literally I just did something that I thought in the moment kind of made sense for the situation, you know? And so like she's yelling at me. And then, you know, the state trooper pulls up behind her and he's doing whatever and just kind of like watching the whole thing, staying out of it. And so she gets my license and insurance or whatever, registration or whatever. And, you know, they're flashing the lights in the car, all the fucking classic bullshit. And so
we're in those cases.
Yeah. Guitar. Sorry. Oh, you play music? Yeah, right.
So you're saying you don't go to Towson University?
So like, they're doing the whole thing. She's in the car doing it. I just decided to like open the door and like step out to catch a breath air. A state trooper flips out. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, hey man, I'm just fucking, you know, I live here, dude. I'm just want to stretch out. You guys are taking for fucking ever.
Yeah, like I just drove an hour.
No, I'm not gonna lie.
Change.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I stepped out of the car because I wanted that state trooper to know that if I wanted to, I could whoop his ass.
Ooh.
He was like 5'6".
Damn.
Like short, stocky guy. And he was being such a dick that I was like, you know what I'm going to do?
It's going to show you how tall I am.
I'm just going to show you that I'm bigger than you. And if the situation wasn't this situation, you would not be acting the way you're acting.
Yeah.
Because I'm not treating you like that. So I got out. I knew he was going to flip out. I opened the door, just one hand, waited for him to flip out. And then I popped my head. I was like, I'm just getting out. Because I was like, I don't want to get out really quick and then get shot.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Maybe a use of my white privilege. Who knows? And so they're doing the whole thing. And then he's like, all right, stand right there. So I'm just leaning against the car, just kind of like maybe getting a couple stretches in. Maybe a couple stretches, whatever. And then she comes out. She's like, all right, get back in your car. I read you something. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I get back in. And because you have to be talked down to. You have to be back in your car. She has to be above you. And it was just very like teacher to student vibe that I did not appreciate. And she goes at the end, she writes me 2 warnings and a $90 reckless driving ticket.
Oh my God.
And I was like, and she was like, all right, so blah, 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 it's payable fine, whatever. No points, whatever. She's like, you have any questions? I was like, yeah, I do. So we wound up getting into like a full debate.
Yeah.
Over the egregiousness of my decision. And I was like, look, you know, I've lived here my entire life. I happen to know that the Towson Circle, among all places in Towson, is one of the most prone places for accidents. I've seen like the reason why you pull people over is because in theory, I'm just paraphrasing right now. Said it cooler at the time, I promise. The reason why you pull people over is in theory that when you pull people over, the threat of being pulled over for a traffic violation keeps the road safer. Well, at what point does, when you're pulling, I've seen people literally pulled over in the middle of the circle, completely obstructs traffic, completely fucks with the flow of things, honestly makes things more dangerous for people. Yeah. Like, at what point does it become counterintuitive and counterproductive when you're pulling people over and creating a more dangerous
and then
situation?
Blocking off one of the exits for the circle.
Creating a more dangerous situation than would have existed if you just never pulled over the person in the first place. And then, so I'm like, you know, and like you're blocking off a main thoroughfare out of the Towson Circle for a routine traffic stop. And she's like, well, you know, you're making a lot of assumptions. I was like, well, it had to be routine because as soon as you saw me, you got off that guy and just came after me. So whatever I did had to be worse than what that guy did.
Yeah.
Unless you had like a serial killer and then you were like, but this guy did that. So we're
that
getting
guy
him.
went the wrong way out of a one way.
Yeah, we're letting this guy go because this other guy went through another lane. And so like we're getting this whole thing. And I was like, basically saying like, you know, like there are several, I was like, I went around and I gauged the situation. I made a decision that I thought was appropriate. if you're driving down consider we're on a 2-lane highway, right? It's a 2-lane, one way this way, one way that way, right? 2-lane highway. And somebody gets pulled over, or maybe you're driving in the middle of the city and a truck stopped in the middle of the lane loading shit out. What is the common protocol? Well, you get behind the truck, you come to a stop, you look around, wait for no oncoming traffic, and you go around the truck. Or if there's an emergency vehicle pulling someone over, partially blocking the lane or fully blocking the lane in many situations, you wait for a safe situation and you go around. Effectively, that's all I did. You were completely blocking the lane and I went around. And you're sitting here yelling at me about the fact that what I did put lives in danger, when in reality, more than likely, you stopping in the middle of a main thoroughfare when it's 1 a.m. on a Saturday night in Towson, when people might be drinking, they might not be paying attention, you're blocking a crosswalk, there's tons of pedestrians walking, so now they have to find an alternate route across the road, and then you're stopped right where, around a blind curve where somebody could be coming York Road and going there and not seeing you, and they rear end you. Who knows what that causes? Maybe they, it's like, if any accident was going to occur out of the situation, it was because of the decision you made. Not because of what I did. So that whole thing, and just, so I'm going to court.
Yeah, so 90 turns into 180, turns into 270.
Look, I got pulled over a couple months ago for texting and driving, and I was texting and driving. And it was another woman cop. She gave me a ticket, and I paid it immediately. Why? Because I was doing the thing she accused me of.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to sit here and get yelled at by someone and lectured about something and talk down to. I said to her, I was like, look, there are so many ways you can handle the situation. You could have walked up and been like a lot of like regular cool people understand the situation. You understand that it was a unique situation. So if I wound up handling it in a way that you didn't see fit, you can be like, come on, dude, you knew that was stupid. Why'd you do that? Blah, blah, blah. You come up to me lecturing me like I just fucking did donuts in the middle of the goddamn street.
Yeah.
You're talking to me like I'm a piece of shit. And like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is why like I support the police, but this is why you guys get the flack you do, because so much of your staff is these people on these fucking power trips. It's like, it just, and I've noticed this, and I'm just going to say it. When I was at the Horse, Lucas Mosca, our friend, was a little drunk. He got up on the stage during a break and was like fucking around with the drums. Bouncers kick him out, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't even really try to kick him out, but Lucas was just so belligerent that in the process of kicking him out, they were just like, okay, but actually you got to go, because he was like so ridiculous. It was funny. It was cool. He was allowed the next time. They were like, yeah, whatever. People drink, And so when he gets out there, but then this other like short girl bartender comes out and just like pushes him in the middle of the street. I don't know where. She wasn't even involved in the situation. She just comes out. I don't think
power tripping.
I don't even think she was working. She was literally just out drinking, but she works there because I play there. I know she works there. She comes out drunk and just fucking pushed in the middle of the street. And all I could think was, that is a classic, in a lot of ways, a classic woman move.
That's a cop move.
Well,
classic cop
it's
move.
A cop move because the cops have the comfort of the uniform, which means that if you do anything even remotely back to them.
She probably had a fucking horse t-shirt on.
Dude.
That's all I'm saying.
She was in regular street clothes and she did the annoying chick thing, which is knowing that I can get away with more. If I see a guy I don't know standing outside getting kicked out, my first instinct is not, let me go outside and push him as hard as I can.
Oh, yeah.
Because I understand the consequences of that guy is going to fight me back. And now I'm in a fist fight. And now I'm in danger. And the people around me are in danger. When you're a little, short little chick, you can go out and just do shit like that and just no consequences. And so they kind of like...
Unless you do it to a chick.
Unless you do it to a chick, which notice she didn't. And it's like, there are certain things that like, I thought about this when I was in Ocean City, that like, as men, because that reality always existed, like any other guy would be perfect. Like if you were at a bar and you saw a guy punch a chick in the face, no matter what the situation was, every other guy at that bar, every other person at that bar
beat that dude
is
up.
going to beat you up. If you see two dudes in a fight, it's just a fight.
Yeah,
you don't have one person's back over the other. It's just like, it's assumed that someone was in the wrong and they're getting what came to them, So as a man, when I'm in Coconuts and somebody bumped into me, I remember you turned around to me and was like, hey man, my bad. And I was like, but meanwhile, 7 other chicks bumped into me, never said anything. Why? Because it's not a reality for them. And I'm not saying that women obviously have their own realities of being in situations that men aren't accustomed to or could even understand, about just walking down the street or going out for a regular thing and being under constant threat of something. So that's a thing. I'm not taking that away from them, but I'm also saying that this is also a thing, which is
Yeah, the other end of the spectrum is
the other end of the spectrum is men are kind of conditioned into conducting ourselves in a certain way because there's a lot more consequence to us mouthing off and starting shit and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so it's like there are certain things I've noted about with like I was at McGurk's and this female bouncer comes up and it's just like, hey, I'm gonna need you to move. And it's like this like fucking just like chick bouncer. And I was like, all right. And so I moved. I was like, I guess in the middle of a doorway. I was just minding my own business. And she was like, I need to clear this doorway. But like kind of being like looking at me like, get out of here. And I'm thinking like, all right, look, I'm all for.
I mean, that's just bouncer shit though.
Yeah, but here's the point though, dude. Here's the point. And the same could be said with small guys who are bouncers. The point is that when you're at a bar, the point of security is so that I think when you walk into a bar, you should look at a bouncer and be like, oh, I'm not going to fuck up because that guy is huge. And he's going to fuck. If I act up, I'm getting choke slammed out of here. Mm-hmm. What happens if I was a complete fucking douchebag and that female bouncer walked up to me, 5'4", fat, walks up to me and goes, I'm going to need you to move. And I go, I'm going to need you to fucking move, bitch.
I'm going to need you to move.
I ain't fucking, I ain't going fucking anywhere. And then she fucking makes a move. And again, I would never do this. And most men would never do this, but some men would, especially if they're wasted. Certain people would. If I just fucking physically assaulted her, immediately she's not a bouncer anymore. She's a liability.
Yeah.
She's a placeholder for a job. Immediately, the second something pops off, it's every other guy bouncer's job in that building to make sure that she doesn't completely get her fucking ass whooped. So in reality, it's like you're really just holding a position here and you're having the decorum of somebody who's going to beat my ass or something like that. But in reality, you're honestly just a liability. You're honestly a liability for being in a harmful situation where now it's like there's a lot of things like that. I don't know why I got on this whole tangent. I'm just thinking about different ways that I've been approached by different people.
What's with that? Do you hate women, Jimmy?
I don't hate women, but I understand that, like, you know, guy elementary school teachers bug me out too. I understand that there's not bug me out. I get it. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just giving another alternative example. Every time you see a guy second grade teacher, you know, a red flag should go up a little bit and be like, let me just make sure this guy's normal. You know, same thing with like anything. You know, you see a coach of a sports team that doesn't have any kids on the team.
Yeah.
Let me investigate this further.
Boy Scout master with no kid.
Exactly. These are all things. So it goes both ways. I know I'm focusing on the female side as I tend to do, but I'm giving you both sides of the equation here. And in this side of the equation, I'm giving you the reality. It's like, there are certain things where it's like, you know, with the military and shit, it's like, you know, if you're a male, you have to do this many pull-ups and this many push-ups and run a mile in this time. If you're a female, you have to do this, that, the third, but it's in a different time and a different amount. And it's like, when we're fighting a war, is the other side across shooting at us going like, all right, well, let's slow down the fucking bullets for this chick. But, you know, when we go and attack this guy, it's like, if we're coming up with a job that requires a certain set of skills. If we're coming up with a job that requires a certain set of things, it's like, how do we benefit by saying like, if this is the physical standard that we decided is necessary to conduct this job, how does anyone benefit by lowering that standard to allow other people in? Look, if you're a chick that can do 10 fucking pull-ups and 50 push-ups and run a mile in 7 minutes, by all means, be in the fucking Marines. Or be in the cops. You know, it's not that hard to fucking pass the physical test for a cops, clearly. But like, how does anyone benefit? How does society benefit when we change the standards for different groups of people when ultimately we've decided that, hey, this is a job that needs to get done. And here's the type of person you need to be to do that job. But unless you're a chick, in which case now you get to do that.
I also think the main issue is, I assume, like, the thing with like being a bouncer, I guess, like, it's like a politician and I assume a police officer, where it's like it takes a certain kind of person to want to be that.
Sure.
And usually it's never for the common good or whatever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely not, yeah.
Like, most people want to be a police officer because they want to carry a gun and feel like they have power. Mm-hmm. So that's just, I don't know. I see where you're coming from, but also like you got to take that into.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying about the cops. It's like I support the police in general, but I've had so many encounters that I totally understand what people are talking about. I'm like, yeah,
the
cops,
police suck.
A lot of cops are fucking douchebags, and it's because you're literally just getting like that bouncer energy. And it's like, I'm sitting there thinking like, you know, like she's sitting there going off. Literally, here's what's so stupid about the female cops are, she was like, you don't think I understand about accidents? I've wrecked 2 cars since I've been on the force. I was like,
wrecked 2 cars.
you're literally like proving my point.
Yeah. You're
literally
making my argument.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, so I'm the guy. How many cars have I wrecked in the past 2 years? Let's not go back 3 years, but in the past 2 years, how many cars have I wrecked, lady? No, it's just funny like that, dude. And look, I'm not a sexist person, but you know, look, I would be remiss to not acknowledge these very strange rules we have going on. Where here's the worst thing. Any guy who wants to be a bouncer is definitely a dude who like has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Oh, for sure.
But I would say that extends even further for any chick that wants to be a bouncer. 100% without a fucking doubt has something to prove. Because that is not a normal thing for any girl to be like, let me go work security for a bar. It's like any dude, you have like a 80-20% chance that they're a douchebag versus they're just a guy who just found themselves in a job. They used to be a busboy and somebody was like, hey, you want to work door tonight? And now they're working door. It's like, there are those guys too. And a lot of those guys are like scrawny guys who are like, I hope you're like a black belt in something, because if anything pops off and your 140-pound ass gets in the thick of it, you're getting fucked up too. Yeah. You know, it's like, so like you have with guys, it's like not quite a coin flip. I would say, let's call it a coin flip. It's a coin flip between douchebag and just guy who's working his job. Mm-hmm. With a chick bouncer, it is a 100% chance that chick has a fucking chip on her shoulder, because I have never met a normal girl who's just like, yeah, I just, you know, blah, blah. But I also am a fucking bouncer for the horse, bitch. Like, oh, really? Okay, damn. So it's like, I would say the same thing goes for cops. And hey, maybe in 3 months we'll be back here and I'll be wrong again. You know, that's the beauty of being wrong. Yeah, so Fox News, don't fire me. What's with that? But yeah, that was all I had.
Got any dates you want to bring up? I know we got something big coming up this Sunday. Oh yeah,
let's work up to it, dude. Do you have anything else before that coming up you want to plug? Okay. Well, guys, for all you perennial whatevers, Tuesdays are back, baby. Officially, ooh. I am back at Perennial every Tuesday. I'm happy about it. The people that come into Perennial to see me on Tuesdays are happy about it. My bank is happy about it. My landlord is happy about it. Everyone's happy about this. Every Tuesday at Perennial, starting this Tuesday, May 2nd, I am there from 5 to 8:30 solo dolo. Depending on the weather, may the 4th be with you on Thursday. May the 4th be with the clouds and the rain and the sun. If we're peaking it at above 70-degree high for the day, I will be at Ampersy 6 to 9 on the docks, or maybe 5 to 8. Probably 5 to 8. Scratch that. Thursday, May 4th, 5 to 8 at Ampersy. If the weather's nice, I will post that in my Instagram story if applicable. This Friday is Cinco de Mayo, baby. It officially ends that classic stretch between St. Patty's Day and Cinco de Mayo, which I consider like an actual, like the fucking 45 days of St. Patty's Day or Cinco de Mayo. It's like a phase. Mm-hmm. It's a phase.
It's a season.
So Cinco de Drinko, Cinco de Sophomore, baby. I'm playing a double header. Valley Inn 5 to 8. Also bringing back the first Fridays at Valley Inn. It's a big month for kicking off sophomore season, dude. So every Tuesday at Perennial from here on out, and every first Friday of the month at Valley Inn, I'm there 5 to 8, starting this Friday, Cinco de Mayo. And right after that, I'm jetting on down to Fells Point to be with the sophomore boys at the horse you came in on, 10 to close in Fells Point. Saturday, I will be at Nacho Mama's in Towson, 4 to 7, solo dolo. And Sunday. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Sunday, May 7th, the Booze Belt Brunch. We finally worked it out with Rodos. They said they want the band. They said they're good on comedy. I said, well, fine. You guys are smarter than I thought you were.
Brunch and comedy goes together like oil and water.
I don't know if you caught it, but on the banner, I literally put no comedy.
Yeah, I did.
That was a subtle thing. I don't think they caught that, but that was for the real ones. If you caught that, some people did. But yeah, Rodos this Sunday, May 7th. At 2 p.m., we're kicking it off for the Booze Belt Bash / brunch. I think the Sunday afternoon's really going to be cool. I kind of had it as like a flyaway idea when I was pitching like possible times for it. But honestly, look, anybody who's familiar with Fells Point knows that the Saturday, Sunday foot traffic day crowd on a nice day is awesome. It's also Cinco de Mayo weekend. People are just getting out of brunch. Nobody's quite ready to go home yet, but it's like, it's 2 p.m. It's a nice afternoon shindig. Pop on through. We're presenting the belt and bracket. I'm presenting the $100 of my money to Caroline, the winner of the bracket challenge. And sophomore, the boys are playing a set. We're not getting paid for it, so there's not really any time constraints or constrictions. We're just gonna fucking do what we feel like doing, which is the best type of gig. Sometimes I'd be willing to give up money just to do whatever the fuck I want to do, and this is one of those situations. So John, Joe, and Jim, this Sunday, we'll be presenting no comedy this time around, like I said, but it's all for the better. We got $5 LFTS bombs. That honestly, okay, so $5 Bud Light's not the best special,
but $5 bombs.
$5 bombs is awesome.
It's pretty good.
Honestly, if I were you, okay, so the specials are $5 Bud Lights, $5 LFTS bomb, $5 LFTS bombs, and $8 crushes. $8 crushes, I'm assuming they're like big crushes, in which case that's a move. It's a Sunday, it's daytime, great day drinking thing. $8 crushes could be the move. $5 bombs is awesome though. That's a great special. They've actually agreed to do the LFTS bomb. So you'll have to just come and find out what that is. But the $5 Bud Lights, I feel like that's like almost $1 more than what I was expected to pay for a Bud Light.
I mean, but for Fells,
yeah, that's true.
That's not
true.
bad.
That's true. They're
usually like 7 or 9.
Let's just put it this way: come down for amazingly priced bombs, pretty good priced crushes, and regular price beers. And if you can't have a good time with that, then I can't help you. You know, I can't help you.
Agreed.
But that's Sunday, May 7th at Rhodos in Fells Point, right on Broadway by the water. 2 p.m. Catch your boys there. Outside of that, the Backtrack sophomore song is doing pretty well. We're getting some plays. We finally got some ads on some playlists, some placements.
Nice.
Doing it kind of like analog style this time, like privately hitting people up, not really doing too much with this. I've been doing a little bit with the services, but it's coming back. We're getting good reviews. A lot of people in our personal circle have said that they think it's our best song yet, which is cool. I agree. I would say I described it to the John this way. It's not my favorite song we've done, but I think it's our best song we've done, if that makes any sense. I think as a song, it is certainly the best song we've done. I think it is a really good kind of evolution of our sound. And look, it could be it is one of my favorites. I think I just have a little bit more of emotional connection to certain songs we did before because I've been writing them for like 7 years before we recorded them versus this one, which is about a year in the making or 2 years. So check that out, Backtrack, at Sophomore MD on Instagram and all that. At Jimmy Selesky, at Eric Glazer.
Yes, sir.
And of course, at LFTS Podcast across the board. If you ain't listening to Live from the Studio, bitch. What's up with that?
What's with that?
Peace.
Peace.